Mhm. Hey, you guys, welcome to another episode of Tuesday Talk, the podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Coach K. Jones, and it is always an honor to share space with you guys. And of course, because as always, this is a show of sharing different perspectives and shedding light on, areas where it's dark. Who we have sharing space with us today is so special to me, y'all. Y'all don't even understand. Her name is Sydney Jones, okay? She is a part-time early educator. She is a certified birthing and postpartum doula. She is a mom who shares 2 children with her newly engaged fiance. And y'all, she's an author of this book.
Hello.
It's called I Can't See Me, But I Know Me, and it is the perspective of being led by Christ. And y'all, I'm only 3 chapters deep. As you can see, it is a quick, short read, but y'all, I think I've read the first 3 chapters already over and over again just to digest it because it's that good. So I'm gonna need y'all to get into it. But without further ado, Sydney, how are you?
Kayla, girl, I am so good. It is so good to be on this podcast. I am so excited for what God is going to do through us talking, through us catching up. I'm excited.
Listen, I think God is going to have some things in store for this episode because you guys, y'all don't even know, but like Sydney used to braid my hair.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I used to go to Sydney's house and she used to braid my hair. And it was one of the best experiences I've ever had as far as getting my hair done because we would just sit and talk. And it didn't take her long to braid at all, which is another reason why I was there because your girl was a quick and efficient, okay? But she used to braid my hair and we just used to have so many different conversations about life and in our future, and so many different things unfolded just in that space alone. But then she moved and I haven't really talked to her since. So
no, it's been a while.
It's been a very long time. It's been some years. So we're about to catch up and y'all just gonna have to be a part of the conversation because this is what we do when we share space.
Look, hold tight.
Get out your notebooks
No,
early
for real.
because there will be some homework. You already know the deal.
Yeah.
So the first thing, Sid, that I wanted to bring up was, one, you are like a certified birthing and postpartum doula, right?
Yes.
And so the thing that really got me was when you answered the question, what are you passionate about? You said, I help birth the gifts women have inside of them that they have a hard time tapping into. And so I'm just like, huh. So not only are you like truly a physical doula, but you are a doula of the spirit.
In the spirit.
Like that hit for me. So how, I guess, when was the moment that you really realized that this is what being a doula meant for you, or just the whole everything?
Yeah, so it really came to me as I was creating my logo, finding out like what I wanted my motto to be. Because originally when I started designing my logo and writing out the plans of what I wanted my doula business to look like, I started with just the sketch of this woman with this tree.
Yeah.
And as it began to transform, I saw like women come into this tree being refilled, but not by me, but by the true source, through God using me as this tree to and nurture these different women. And it got so deep. I'm literally drawing out my logo and being filled with the Holy Spirit at the same time. And then the woman for all women, my motto came to me. God dropped that in my spirit, and I was just like, man, because that wasn't me. I'm like, God, that was you. That was not. You know how it hit you, and you just be like, man.
It's like, no, I did not come up with that on my own. Like that is straight God.
No, it was all God. So once that kind of formed, it wasn't until later, maybe earlier this year, that he began to reveal to me that I'm not just a doula in the natural, but also in the spirit, and that how he's going to use me to birth different gifts out of other women. Because sometimes we can miscarry in the spirit because we don't know what God is doing. So when we begin to tap into that thing and help these women birth out what's in them, because sometimes it's hard because you're trying to figure out which direction God is sending you and you don't really know. You're just like, you gave me this idea, but what am I supposed to do with it? You gave me this dream, what am I supposed to do with it? But to have somebody to team up with you to help you push that thing out,
that's a whole different ball game.
It's a whole different ball game.
Ooh, because just like, giving birth, like the whole process is it's a lot. And so to
It
have
is.
that support means
Yeah.
everything. And even throughout your pregnancy, because
Mhm.
something that a lot of people don't realize, like if you have children, then you can
Yeah.
probably understand. And if you don't, then you
Yes.
won't. However, one thing that I realized carrying, my daughter,
Yeah.
is that when you become pregnant, it's almost like its own separate isolation season.
It is. Yes.
And so you have to cling, or you cling to the people, or there are people near you who really cling to you, who help you and
Yes.
support you throughout this entire process as you are carrying, this baby to
Yeah.
life.
Yes.
And when you get in the birthing room, it's like all hands on deck.
It
All hands
is.
on deck. It takes
Man.
so many people to really get this thing out. But even the fact that our bodies were designed to know what
Come
to
on, Kayla.
do and to
Come
naturally
on.
push this out, even without the support. Because I've seen, those crazy videos of like a woman just squatting and birthing her own
Yeah.
baby,
Yeah. Just
right?
doing it. Yes.
Just
Yes.
doing the thing. Like those
Yeah.
things are very powerful because
Yeah.
it literally shows you that God has already put in us what we
Mhm.
need. The extra
Man.
support is amazing. The extra support is
Yes, it
great,
is.
but God has already placed in us exactly what we need in order to birth out what He's placed in us.
Man.
It's
Yes.
it's just love. It's
It
divine,
is.
even.
It is. It really is. But when he showed me that analogy between the natural and the spirit, and I'm just like, the labor pains that we go through, just to
Mm-hmm.
even pushing this book out,
Come
even getting this
on.
book out, I did it in isolation. I didn't tell anybody I was writing a book. I told my fiance, but I didn't tell my mom, I didn't tell any of my friends. I just kept it to myself. And then when I released it, they were like, what? You didn't even say you was. I'm like, I needed this to be all God, all him, just
Yes.
me and him. I needed him to work out my story. I needed him to show me what to share, what not to share, how to go about the whole thing. I had to do that
Mm-hmm.
by myself. I had to take a step away and just say, let me filter all my story through the Holy Spirit and see what parts he desires for me to share. And that's what I did. I just took that time to step away and just release.
I
Just
love
release.
that. I
Yeah.
love that because a lot of people don't realize how important it is to shut yourself off. And there's a difference between, like, shutting yourself off in
Yeah.
depression versus truly shutting yourself off to hear from God and to hear
Yeah.
what He needs from you. And so even when I got baptized, like just last month, when
Yeah.
I got baptized, it was so many people who was like, man, I wish I could have been there. Dang, you ain't tell nobody. It's like, it was
Yeah.
100% unplanned, for one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
wasn't planned.
Right.
It wasn't planned, but I believe that even if I did plan it, there was something in that moment where it was like, in that decision, it was me and God. It was just me
Mm-hmm.
and God.
Yeah.
It's like, this is a
Yeah.
commitment I need to make to you, to this walk
Mm-hmm.
with just me, not because eyes
Yeah.
are on me, but because this is something that I genuinely want to do. And this is something
Yeah.
that we need, for our relationship.
That's it. That's it right
And
there.
so with that book and you incubating your baby
Man,
until it was full grown, full birth,
full grown.
enough to stand on its own,
Yeah.
that's so important. And that's another thing when you said people miscarry in the spirit,
Mm-hmm.
it is exciting when we hear from God,
Yes.
but not everything is supposed to be shared right away.
Not yet.
Not
Yes. That's
everything is
it.
supposed to be shared right away. And so that's where the miscarry comes along, because when you share an idea and you finally put it out there, you have left it open and unguarded to all of the opinions, all of the warfare that is
I'm
surrounding
telling you
you. Like,
that's
it's just
attached
out
with it.
there.
I'm telling you.
It is just out there, and you
Yeah.
can't take it back at that
You
point.
can't. No, you can't. There is no taking it back. Once it's out there, that's the thing. Is no pulling it back in. So me
Mm-hmm.
taking that time to let it, like you said, incubate and let it become full grown or full blown in its infancy. Man, the warfare happened after. When I tell you this month has been insane, the
Yeah.
war as soon as I released the book, bam. I was like, all right, here we go. We on for a ride. But I'm telling you, it's so true to protect that thing until it's time. Because at
Yeah.
least by then you're mature enough to handle and withstand the warfare coming your way. Your prayer is much stronger.
Mm-hmm.
You already know, like the warfare is going to come. When God speaks a word or he releases something through you, warfare is automatic, is something that is inevitable.
Automatic.
But we just have to be in that headspace to be able to stand firm on what God already spoke. Like Even though these things are coming at you, you got a book to promote. You got things, you got people's lives to help get
Yeah.
through your story. So it's not like you can stop.
It's not, no, you're actually just getting started.
Just getting started.
That is so crazy. That is so interesting that the warfare happened after, because I know, like, I typically experience it all. I can't even say I experienced it all before, but 9 times out of 10, I usually experience it before.
Yeah.
So, like, even before the release date of this podcast, a lot of people don't know. So vulnerable moment, guys, as we share space, just, speaking of that, but I released the podcast on October 3rd, but October 2nd, that Monday, I spent half the day on the floor of my prayer room.
Yeah.
On the floor of my prayer room, just like asking God to cover me, asking God to just, just be with me in this space right now, because I don't know why I'm not okay, or I kind of know, but Lord, I'm just going to sit here, because here is where I feel comfort. I feel comfort in your presence.
Yes.
Because I knew that the enemy was working overtime. It's like, you better not release your sound. You better not release your sound. You better not release your sound.
Yes.
And
that's
I'm
what
like,
it is.
Well, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it just is what it is, because to fear you and be disobedient to my God it's outrageous. It's outlandish. That doesn't even make sense. You're tripping.
Yeah.
So I might sit here and I might be on the floor and I might be in tears a little bit, but guess what? I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna release that podcast the next day. And we're gonna push through, and it's gonna be just fine, as it absolutely has been.
It has been. I'm telling you, it absolutely has been. I was listening to the first 2 episodes and I'm just like, man, just to hear, man, Kayla, I'm telling you, girl, you are blowing me away. I wish I can explain it, but I'm telling you, just to see you in your element and just to see, I'm gonna dive into a little bit of what, like I was sharing with you before we started, just meeting you and we hitting it off immediately. But at that time, you were talking about the universe. And you were sharing a little bit of that in your first podcast. And I'm like, man, this took me way back. But even though in that space, though you weren't honoring God for what he was doing in your life and acknowledging that what he was doing or who he was in your life, you were just acknowledging the things around you and the universe and the things that he created. But you were still using the principles of his word.
Yes.
And you were still making things happen. God was still even using you and moving in you before you even knew that he was moving in you.
Man, tell the people said,
I remember your journal. You was writing out stuff. You was writing out stuff for your bartending stuff, for your personal training, and to see where you are, to be a co-owner of the lab, to see you just in your element, the things that you always talked about. That's what blows my mind, because it's like God was already working before you knew he was.
That part. That's
part. The thing. Yeah.
And what's even crazy is, like, I'm very grateful. First of all, thank you for that, because that always, like, your story and your walk, but then to see it benefit other people or to inspire other people, it always hits different. All glory to God for that, 100%. Because like you said, and this is why I had to let the people know in the first episode, I just gave it to them straight. It's like, y'all, this is where I used to be. But had I not gone through that, there are so many, there were so many untapped perspectives that I would not have been able to minister on or relate to with, when it comes to other people. And it's like, in order to relate to the masses, you have to go through a series of different things just to have an idea. Because everybody goes through different things. And that's something that, that's something that my brother Rob talked about all the time. He's like, man, Kayla, I remember you used to talk about the universe, and it's so crazy to hear you talk like this now. But we used to talk all the time about any and everything. And to even see you move and body the move, like, tell the people where you are, Sydney. Tell them where you are.
I am in Worcester, Massachusetts. I'm in Central Massachusetts now, guys. I moved from Virginia. I had to, man. It was about that time to spread my wings and leave my hometown. But it's been a journey. I will tell you that. I've been here for 4 years, and it took a lot for me to find my feet here. Like I'm just becoming rooted in a church. It's been about a year, because I took a step away from the church myself. Like I needed to find God and define him for myself without a preacher telling me who he was, without my mom, without anybody telling me who he was. I needed to figure out who he was for me. And so I'm just really getting into the groove and making friends because I wasn't even into that. I'm like, Lord, I'm just here. I'm just here. So I'm really now just really opening up to the move. And like I said, this is year 4, but I'm just now starting to blossom in it.
Wow, because from the outside looking in, first of all,
Yeah.
I remember when you told me you was moving, I was real sad. Not just because you wasn't gonna be here to braid my hair no more.
Yes.
But also because it was like you were the first person, like I've been here in Lynchburg since 2009, but you
Yeah.
were the first person who I could actually sit and have full-blown conversations
Full
with
blown. I mean, about any and everything.
about
I mean, we
any and
opened up
everything
immediately.
immediately and not get
Yeah.
bored. The conversation was
Yeah.
never forced. I felt like
Yep.
I was myself in our
Yes.
conversations. I didn't feel like I had to water anything down. And so our friendship meant so much to me.
Yes.
And so then when you told me you were moving, I was like, oh, my soul. But at the same time, so happy for you because I knew, that there was so much more to come. And I knew that where you were, it just wasn't it for you anymore.
Yeah.
But then to also see you move so confidently, so boldly, like you took this move, you took Josiah, her son, y'all,
Man.
and you just went
Yeah.
for it. And I'm just like, in the back of my head, I'm like, that.
Not many people, I'm telling you.
You see it in movies and stuff, but it hits different when you know someone who has actually done it. And it's not like you moved away and then a year later you came back. You stuck it out and you became a certified birthing and postpartum doula. And then you wrote a book. And I'm just like, Lord, do I need to move?
You're like, is it my turn?
Like,
is it my turn to move out?
Tell me where to go, Lord, And it's so crazy because it was I want to say just last week or like 2 weeks in a row where God was really putting on my heart about moving. All right, so pay attention though, because it's a plot twist to it. And then I thought about it once and I'm like, oh, that's weird. Okay, roll it off the shoulder.
Yeah, let me shake it off. Yes.
And, thought about it a second time and I'm like, now, where are we going with this? Let it go again, stick it in the back pocket. Thought about it a third time and I'm like, okay, Lord, what does this mean? Why do I keep thinking about moving? And all I could hear was expansion, 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 expansion.
Oh, girl.
And then it was then that God put the revelation in my spirit that it's not so much about a physical move for you. It's not necessarily a physical move that I'm trying to get you to do.
Man.
However, I am trying to expand your mind on what it looks like to expand your territory.
Come on.
And because one of the things, in being like a certified life and mindset coach, I'm like, God, I want to, I love helping, the community and people around here and in Lynchburg and everything. Like, I'm willing to help wherever, but I'm like, God, I need my services to go beyond just this city. I need to know that this has, I know you have reach everywhere, but it's like, I need to stretch, God. Like, I know I need to stretch. And so him placing that move in my spirit was more so about him just opening my mind to what expansion truly does look like.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that was just and again, we're still sticking a pin in that. We're still sticking a pin in that. But when that revelation dropped, I was like, ooh, now he's about to prepare me.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. You're like, all right, let me buckle up real quick.
It's about to be a ride. And I don't even know what I'm in for, but I'm down for the ride because I made it this far.
No, that's so true though, because when we get words from God like that, and when He uses certain terms, for me, I know I get so caught up. I'm like, "We moving, God? Okay, like let me go, let me go." I'm like ready to jump the gun, and I don't take the time sometimes to go back and try to figure out, okay, what does He really mean? Is this a physical move, like you said? Is this a spiritual, this growth? Like, what are you really showing me, Lord, when you're saying that we're moving? So for me lately, I've been doing getting to the root of a lot of words, Googling definitions and seeing what these words mean. What are the synonyms to these words? And then God will give me revelation from just the search and researching what He said and not taking what He says for face value. Because what God is bigger, His thoughts are higher, His ways are higher. So sometimes we can take the words of the natural and be like, take it as God saying one thing, And he's like, no, I'm over here. Like you
It's like, woo, you missed me.
I need you to come back this way. So that's really good that you said that. That was really good. That's
Yeah,
really
God was like, you missed it. Now I'm gonna have to
good.
spin the
Right.
block and come back and get you
Yes.
because you decided to start walking, and I was
Right.
coming to pick you up. And sometimes for
That's so
me,
good.
I now that's I would say that is the only time that we have ever been opposite. You say you take the word and you run with it. Me,
Yes.
I move too slow sometimes.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I move too slow. God will tell me
Okay.
something, and I'm like,
Right. You like second guess it. See, that's my problem. I second guess it after when it's too late. I'd be like, dang, okay, maybe you didn't say that. Maybe you didn't say that.
I'm
I'm
like,
like,
Lord,
okay, reel it
maybe
back
I
in. And he has to
misinterpreted.
reel me back in a lot because I'm just like, God said it. I'm
Yeah,
about to do it. I'm like too hype about it sometimes. I'm like, all right, let me hone it down. Like, come on, let's use wisdom. Let's use
yeah.
some wisdom here. So yeah.
For me, it's like I be too cautious. It's like I'll
Yeah.
be hype about it. It's like, don't get
Mm-hmm.
too crazy. Just wait a
Yeah,
minute
yeah,
now.
yeah.
And I think that really stemmed from my word for this year. Everybody kind of has like their word for the year
Yes.
now. What was your
Yes.
word? Did you have a
Mine
word?
was soar above. Soar
Ooh,
above.
soar
And
above.
multiplication. It was multiplication and soar above.
Hmm. Stick a pin in that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to pick that apart. I want to
Yep,
see what
yep,
that's about. My
yep.
word for the year was diligence.
Ooh.
Diligence was the word for this year because the past 2 years, I have started so many things
Mm.
prematurely and then
Yes,
have
yes, yes.
always had to backtrack and
Mm-hmm.
get back to the grounds of, back to the building grounds or whatever, get back to the blueprint and then
Yes.
rebuild again with what I
Got you.
just learned. But how much
Yes.
time would I have saved myself if I just took the time to take it step by
Yes,
step
yes,
by
yes, yes.
step by step, crossing all
Mm-hmm.
the T's and dotting all the I's versus
Yep.
just jumping or trying to make
Jumping.
this
Yeah.
gigantic leap to get there faster. There was
Mm-hmm.
always something within me that's like, I got to do this now. I'm ready to do this now. Like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And then it always falls to nothing or it just didn't work out how I imagined it to.
Yeah.
And so I got tired of like taking the L's, taking the losses. I got tired of the disappointments and the setbacks, child. So
Yes.
I told myself this year, I was like, okay, in
Mm-hmm.
order to, not have these setbacks and everything. And of course, there's always going to be something that you learn.
Yeah.
But I said, how can we minimize, the margin of error?
Mm-hmm.
The
I'm
only way
telling
to do that is by being diligent, taking it one step at a time.
you.
And
Mm-hmm.
yes, it is a little slower.
Yeah.
However, it's no slower than getting far and then having to go
Go all the
all
way
the way
back. Yes.
in.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you're still on a steady journey up the hill.
Yeah.
And so I took that word to heart this year because I'm like, I can't afford to start over again. I can't afford to waste any more time. Like,
Right.
this has to happen. I just got to do it. So
No, that's
your
true.
word, soar above in multiplication, what was your root for that?
So, um, a lot of people didn't know that me and my fiance we split last year, and I went through a season,
Yep, didn't know that.
a season. I mean, a season of serious depression, suicidal thoughts, and I share a little bit about that in my book too. But I
You
just went through
did, but
this
I didn't even
season.
think that was the
So
wow.
I went through that
Okay.
season, and it just felt like a time of separation and
Mm,
rebuilding for me. Like I think like you said, I moved. You said how I, took this move and I took it, a bold step, but I didn't
yeah.
prepare. So when I
Mm,
got here, like you said, it was like starting over. I had to backtrack and relearn me and relearn what what triggers me, relearning just how to operate in a relationship,
yeah.
period. Because I realized that a lot of my relationships failed because of how I was showing up, even
Wow.
not even just romantic relationships or boyfriend girlfriend relationships, but even like some of my closest friends, because how
Mm,
I was showing up. So that I had to take that time to really figure me out. And I'm like, Lord, all of these years, like I've been trying to work and work and work the things that you have placed inside of me. And I feel like I'm over here. I'm over here. I'm like jack of all trades. I'm here. I'm
man.
there. I'm here.
Oh, that
I'm
term
there.
right there has got me in so much trouble.
That's what I'm saying. So I just felt like I was just doing too much, but nothing at all. And
Yes.
so when I got the word multiplication, it was just him saying to me that I'm going to prove to you that all the years and all the things that you have put into working your gifts, you're gonna see the proof of that. Like
Mm.
you're gonna multiply. And I'm just like, and like you say, sometimes you hear those words and you're like, oh, multiplying this money, multiplying this, but no, multiplying who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like just like you
Yes.
said, the word expansion. When you said expansion, man, that just clicked in my spirit. Like sometimes multiplication looks like expanding who you are in Christ
Yes.
and letting who you are pour out into the people next to you, pour out into the people on your door,
Jesus.
pour out onto your family. Like that's what multiplication can look like versus, we always looking for these financial blessings and financial this, but
Mm-hmm.
like multiplication, it means so much more than just the financial piece. And I had to learn that for myself because I'm like, Lord, you said I was gonna multiply. Like, what is
Where the checks
what is money at? Where the money at? So
at?
we can get it so confused, man. And he's just been really showing me that multiplication can be who you are, multiplying
Yeah.
who you are, and the impact that you make in people's lives.
That's
So
good. So
yeah,
then soar above, is that meaning like soar above everything that you've been through?
everything that I've been through. Because
Amen.
let me tell you, I started a new job January of this year. I'm still on
Hmm.
that job, and I'm just like, Lord, when you gonna put me out of here? But anyway,
No, but that, go on.
so I started this job, and when I started this job, I started with this whole attitude like, I'm not going in this job to meet nobody. I'm going there, get my check, and roll out. That was my attitude. I'm
Yeah.
like, Lord, I'm just here to collect my check and go
Yeah, all
home. Like,
right.
I'm not
Yeah,
here to
all
make no
right.
friends. I started part time. I was like, I'm trying to run my business, so I'm just gonna do this part time. But little did I know, I met this girl on the job, and she was
Mm-hmm.
telling me she was selling these journals. She was like, I sell these journals on Amazon. She was like, she showed me all these things. I worked with Canva and all of this, and I finally like opened up a little bit. I was like, oh, that's cool. Let me see what that's about because she told me all about it, and that's how the journey to my book began
Yep.
because of what she spoke to me
Ooh.
at work about these journals. And I published my book through the same thing that she told me about, the same KDP, Amazon. She showed me all the things, and I went to work. God was like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. She told me that, and maybe like a week or two later, he gave me the title to the book. And I was just like,
It's like, so I'm doing the book now?
so literally from April to September, I went to work on the book and published the book
Wow.
from April to September. That's how quick.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
And
how
that's a
quick.
short period. That's what, 5 months?
5 months.
Not
Five
even a
months.
full half of a year.
Nope. No. That's how quick it
Ooh.
was. I was like,
Mm.
all right,
And the
I'm gonna
book
sit
is so
down. I'm gonna
good,
listen. Look at
y'all.
me. You want to get out of sometimes we want to get out of things so quickly that make us so uncomfortable. Like I didn't
Yes.
want to be on that job. I didn't want to. I'm like, Lord, I really want to work my business. But how you gonna fund the business with no money? Like we have to use wisdom.
Man, listen.
Like I said, wisdom. So I was just like, God, I don't even want to do this. I don't want to open up to anybody. I just want to work what you gave me. But sometimes we have to go back to where we like David. He told him he was going to be a king. He had to go back
Ooh, he had
to
to
being
go
a shepherd
back.
first. He had to go back. We
Jesus.
can't start. It's when God gives us a word, we can't start automatically. Sometimes He sends us back to the very place we're trying to get out of. Like go back. Now go back and finish doing what you was doing,
Yeah,
and
that,
we'll
that,
work
that
it
don't
out
mean it's
later.
gonna happen right now. I'm just giving you a nugget for the
Yeah.
future, something for you to look forward to.
Yeah. So that's how that all came about. Like I said, that book was nowhere near on my radar. And the title came from my son. If you read the introduction,
Yep. Yep. I was
the
like, go
title
ahead,
came from
Joe.
Josiah. And I'm just like, God, what are you doing? It's it's mind blowing how he works.
Mm.
It's so mind blowing how he works. Cause I'm just like, we rushing out of the door and he talking about, mommy, I can't see me. He's like examining his body. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
that moment, it was a beautiful moment for me. He probably like, what are you talking about?
He's probably like, Mom, I'm just
I'm
telling
taking
you
this
something.
all in like, man, son, you are right. We can't see ourselves, but we do know who we become. We begin to know who we are because Christ gives us our identity. Our identity is found in Him. We may not be able to see where we're going. We may not be able to see the journey. Half the time, we don't know the next direction. We don't
Yeah.
know where He's taking us, but we know that because we are in Him, because we are of Him, and He is the one who is leading the show, we know who we are.
Mm.
It's, man, that it hit me so powerfully. I was like, man, God, I've been working to find out who I was for all these years, working these different things, trying to figure out like who is Sydney? Like, can something happen for Sid? Like, but
Like, who is she?
yeah,
Who is
yeah,
she?
hmm
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
I can't see me, but I
yeah,
know me.
yeah,
That is very powerful. Because like you
yeah,
said, I can't see where I'm
yeah,
going. I can't
yeah,
see anything, but
yeah.
I know me because I know my father.
I'm telling you, that's
Wow.
it. That's it.
I could
So
literally
good.
just sit here with this. I know I'm sitting here just gazing at the screen because I'm like, oh my goodness, this is good.
No, it's been so good. It's like I said, it's a journey. It's gonna hit you, but it's
Yes.
all in what we do and the strides we take. And I've been praying. I can't remember who said it, but they used to pray that God give me the grace for the pace. So
Mm,
sometimes we can try to go too fast, too slow, but give me the grace for your pace.
yeah.
Because he's been giving me so many revelations about trees and the how long it takes for a tree to go to its full maturity. That can be 50
Jesus.
years. It can be 50 years for a tree to
Lord,
become.
I ain't got 50 years in the tank. No, I'm playing.
But you know what I'm saying? Like we have to think
Yeah.
about the time it takes for things to become. For it's not to say that things won't happen in between. It won't. It doesn't mean that little wins won't happen. It's not to say that God can't move quickly because He
Mm-hmm.
can. But He's just saying like give yourself grace for the pace that God is putting you on.
Yeah.
There's nobody in your lane but you. There's
Mm-hmm.
nobody on this race but you. This is a you and God race. This is not you
Oh
and
my
your neighbor,
goodness.
not you and your friend, it's not you and your mom. It's you and God. Nobody else has the same pace as you. So you can't look to anybody. You can't look left. You can't look right. You have to say, God, I need the grace for my pace. What pace do you have me on so I can stay in step with you, not ahead of you and not too far behind you? So
Mm.
that's been my prayer lately. Like, God, give me the grace to be comfortable in the pace that you have me in.
Jesus. And
Yeah.
that's an important statement during such a time of instant gratification and believing that everything is going to happen right away. You know, everything looks like an
Mhm.
overnight success, and
Yeah.
it is far from that.
Far,
Far from that.
far from it.
And because, like you said, like just to use this as an example, you said, it was inspiring, just watching me in my element, with
Yeah.
the gym and then with this and then with
Yeah.
that and with
Yeah.
this and with that. And
Yeah.
it's like, because even when we started the gym, baby, I was
Mhm.
still nowhere near where I am today. I was still talking about the universe even then.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
so when we talk about grace and,
Mhm.
looking like an overnight success,
Yeah.
it's such a journey. And
Yeah.
but you cannot negate those parts of the journey because again, like I said, I used to try to take one step and then jump
Yeah.
to
Yep.
several steps. But that was me negating all the things that I needed to learn in each season. And that's something
Mhm.
that's really been sitting heavy in my heart lately is what does God want to show me or what does he need me to learn in this season? Not
Mhm.
what I just went through before, not
Yeah.
where I'm going, but in this very season right now, what is it that he
Yeah.
wants to show me? Because I was telling you, I just got, a new job as well. And it very much aligns with what I do as far as life
Okay.
coaching and everything,
Yes.
but it doesn't look how I imagined that it would. So, but the way that the job came about, when I tell you I got the job within like 2 days of me
Oh wow.
applying, I knew
Yes. Yes.
in my
Yes.
spirit. The second that I applied, I said, Lord, I said, the job description sounds great. The pay looks good. I said, but I'm not going to stress about anything,
Yes.
because I know that, it'll be so if it's for me. An hour later, I got an interview.
Yeah.
That was the most
Wow.
instant gratification I'd had in a
Wow.
minute.
No, for real. For real.
And because it came so quickly after that prayer, I was like, all right, Lord, okay, let's do this. Because then that's when I started celebrating because I already know if I get the interview, I'm
Yeah.
already in there. You're
No,
going to
for
love
real. Like yeah.
it. And so, and even in the interview, my new boss, she's amazing. And she's the first boss I've ever had where I'm actually able to talk about divine things with. Like, where do you
Mhm.
find that in the workplace?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
don't.
Yes.
And so, like, we in the interview basically in tears.
Oh wow.
Yeah. In an interview,
Yeah.
Sid, an interview.
Yeah. Wow.
So I walk out of the interview and I'm like, all right, Lord, that was different.
No, for real.
I said, I don't know if I got the job or not. I do know that the
Wow.
connection was divine, though. So even if I don't get the job, I know that something more will still come out of this because
Yeah, that's so true.
you were present, you know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I got the job and everything. The next day, she sent me the offer letter. So I
Wow.
knew for a fact that this whole thing was God. And then when I
Yeah.
started training, I was like,
Wait a minute, Lord.
I said, okay.
You didn't tell me about this.
Y'all, I went in thinking one thing. I had an
Yeah.
expectation,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't quite exactly what I thought.
Yeah.
So I had to, because I knew that God placed me here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it is still very much of what I do, it still aligns with what I do. It just doesn't, like I said, it just doesn't look how I imagined it would look.
Yeah.
And because I knew that it was God, I had to just tell him, I was like, okay, God, I'm just going to be diligent again. Going back to the word of the year.
Yes.
I'm just going to be diligent in my work. I'm going to be diligent in this field because I know that there is something here that you need to teach me. I know there's probably a connection here that you need me to make. Either way, I know that there's something divine to come of this. And so I'm going to treat it as such. I'm just going to be patient and diligent in this season because there's something in every season
it is
to gain or to learn or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that was very interesting because I was like, oof.
I can only imagine because that thing where you like, God, this don't look like, but you like, you can't see what I see.
Yeah,
You can't see what I see. So what do you mean it doesn't look like?
Exactly
No,
what
but
it's supposed to look like.
I've been there where I'm like, God, this don't even look like you no more. I noticed what you said, but this don't even look like. There's no way. There is no way.
Like there is no way.
Yeah.
There was something else I wanted to I guess kind of pick your brain about, right?
Okay.
Because when I tell you I was reading the 3 chapters and I underlined a couple things in there.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, nugget, go off, Sydney. But especially because of, you know, the nature of my podcast and even the nature of like me doing what I do, I'm heavy on the mindset. Yes. And the very first thing I underlined in reading your book was when you said, I was so bound in my mind that it didn't matter that I grew up in church. So I don't even want to like backstory it necessarily. Yeah. I want you to more so talk about what you meant when you said that or where your head was when you said that. Y'all pay attention, please.
So when I said that, I was just thinking back, honestly, because it wasn't where I currently was. This was me, trying to like, in retrospect, thinking about all the things, all the teachings and all of the worship and all of these things that I was doing and nothing was working. I'm like, God, I'm worshiping you, but why isn't it, why is nothing changing? Why is nothing breaking through to my spirit? I didn't understand that. And so it wasn't until he dealt with me on a couple things that had me bound that I had chained myself to in my mind. I would listen to this worship music and I would listen to these podcasts and these sermons. But the thing was, I was allowing my thoughts throughout the day to run rampant. That's the thing. Whatever the enemy was saying, I'm just like, dang it, you might be right. Like, you might be right. I was coming into agreement with my thoughts throughout the day. I can listen to this stuff in the morning, but what did the rest of my day look like? Yes. I wasn't talking to God. He wasn't really the head of my life. I'm just like I know who God is. I'm gonna worship him because I know, my mom told me to, my grandma, my pastor told me this, but it wasn't until I really, that moment last year, like the book was really about what has transpired within the last year and a little bit of my past, but mainly what has transpired and the freedom that I've gotten from being set free last year in my bedroom floor, on the ground, pouring it all out to God every day, attacking different things that I believed about myself, attacking different things that I believed about him, attacking different things that I allowed my mind to think, like throughout the day. Like I said, just allowing the enemy to just run rampant. Yeah. The thing about the enemy is once he can get you to believe the lie. His work is pretty much done. He don't even have to
That's
mess with
it.
you no more. Once you believe the lie and continue to operate in that lie, like, man, he right. So he don't have to say anything else. Your mind is now stuck in this place of what the enemy said is true. So now you're operating from that place. You're loving from that place. You're showing up to work from that place. You're showing up in relationships from that place of
Mm.
what the enemy said. So for me to go through that season last year of, I literally broke my hand last year. I punched the floor because I was so in a place where of self-harm and suicidal thoughts, because I'm just like, nothing is working, Lord. What is the point of me being here?
Yeah.
I'm worshiping
Jesus.
you. What do you mean? What do you mean? Like, what am I supposed to do? If I say you're my God, why is nothing working? Why am I still wanting to hurt myself? Why am I still wanting to end it all?
Jesus.
It didn't make sense. And so it wasn't until I had to be on the ground every day in worship. I had to be on my face every chance I got. I mean, I'm like, you know what, Lord, just like I text my friends, just like I text my mom, we about to have this conversation at work, in my car, anywhere I was, and there was a bit of a break or silence, I was talking to God. I'm writing him like I'm texting my friend. I'm writing him because that's what he is to us. He
Yeah.
is everything in one. He is our friend, our brother, our father. He's everything. So when I started to treat our relationship as I would if he was my friend or somebody next to me, I'm like, God, I need you to just come lay with me. I don't have nothing.
Yes.
I don't have nothing to give, but I just need you to come sit with me. And when I allowed him to just sit, I didn't want nothing from him. I didn't ask nothing from him. I just needed his presence to
Yes.
come. In the moments that I couldn't get out of my bed and I would just lay there and I would tell him to come sit with me, there were moments when, if you remember the story in the Bible where Jairus' daughter was dying and
Mm-hmm.
Jesus was on the way to see about what was going on. And he said the words to Talitha Kum, and that means little girl, get up. And one day I was
Mm.
laying in my bed and he said that to me, Talitha,
Wow.
get up. And I got myself up and I began to worship and I began to praise, because sometimes we just need his presence. Ooh, don't make me cry, Lord. Need his
That
presence
affirmation from
to
him.
come in, like, and to be able to hear his voice so audibly, like that changed
Jesus.
the game for me.
Yeah.
That changed
Yeah.
the game for me, because I was always that person. Lord Jesus, I'm not gonna cry. I was always that person who was looking for him to confirm things in church, like my pastor's overlooking me. I see these people getting prophecy. These people getting prophesied to. God is talking to these people in church. But when he began to speak to me, man,
That is different.
it is way different.
It is
It
different.
trumps anything a prophet can tell you, an evangelist, a teacher, a preacher. When God speaks to you directly,
Directly.
that
Oh,
changed the game for me.
I got chills.
That changed the game for me. When
Thank you,
I heard his
Lord.
voice, when I heard his voice for myself, and like I said in my book, I've been in church all of my life. Both of my grandparents, my parents being preachers' kids. I mean, I grew up in church
Yeah.
and never fully experienced a full manifestation of Christ in my life until this whole year that just passed.
Mm.
So to begin to just start from ground zero and figure out who God was for me and nobody else, that's when I began to get set free. That's when he began to pull the chains off. That's when he began to show me the things that I had, even friendships or people that I had bound for unforgiveness or things that I've done, just shedding a light on everything. All the scales begin to fall off my eyes, the things that I was blind to, the things that I was doing in my daily life, food, everything. God talks to you about every single thing, your
Yeah.
diet, your health, your life. Everything, your parenting,
Everything.
everything. Nothing was off limits to God. Nothing. I left everything. I'm like, God, I'm not going to put a limit on you. I'm not going to tell you not to enter my relationship. Because I had this complex, like, God, I want you everywhere else but in my relationship. Like, I don't want you in, like, my romantic relationships, because I knew I was operating in sin. I
Because
didn't
you
want him in it.
knew he was going to be
I
like,
knew
ah.
it. I'm like, this is off limits, because I know if you say this, you're going to tell me no, and I'm going to be upset about it. And when he told me no, I was just like,
Well,
all
we keep
right.
going anyways.
All right. That's why I was keeping
Uh-huh.
you out. See, that's why I was keeping you. See, but that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah.
was trying to keep him just close enough, but far to where he wasn't interfering with my life.
Yep.
I wanted all control. I
Somebody
wanted
say
all control.
accountability.
Mm,
We all want the benefits of what a
yes,
relationship of God brings,
yes.
but we don't want to be held accountable when it means
No,
giving up the things that
nope.
we think we want.
Come
And
on.
when he puts his foot down and tells us, no, we can't have that or don't or can't
Whole
be
hissy
that.
fit.
And it's not even, and it is not even, the church rules where it's the
Yeah.
no, you can't
No.
be that. No, that's typically the church people.
Yeah.
But when God tells you,
I'm
not to
telling
do
you.
this or not to do that, that
Yeah.
hits different. The
Because he'll
conviction
give you
falls even
personal.
harder.
There it is. I was about
That
to say it's a personal
conviction
conviction.
hits different.
Yeah.
And then because he told you that if you
Yeah.
do anything opposite of that, you are walking in blatant disobedience.
Yes.
And don't nobody need to know what come after that. I don't.
You're
And
gonna find out.
Yeah, and that's what changed my life. Like when I tell you,
Yeah.
I was so hard-headed, Sydney. I
Yeah.
was so hard-headed
Yeah.
that there was one day, and I'll write about this one day, not necessarily in the book. I don't know. Who knows? I can't even say nothing.
You don't even know, but it's okay.
But I just remember the very first time that I really, really, really heard God audibly.
Yeah.
This man visited me like face to face, and I was shook. I came home one day. This was again last year because this is when my walk really started. And I just remember I was just so done.
Yeah.
I was just fed up with everything. Yep. I came home, I took a shower, and I laid across the bed and I just closed my eyes. I wasn't really going to sleep. I just wanted rest.
Yep.
And when I closed my eyes, I was immediately brought to like a beach. And I was sitting there in white. And then again, I couldn't really make out the face, but just by the presence alone, you know who that is.
Yes.
You know who it is. And so this man who was definitely God just walked up to me. And as he was approaching me, I just remember like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do? Like, no reason, bro. I was like, there's no reason you about to come over here and face to face with me if I didn't do something wrong. That was the very first time I actually understood what it meant, fear of the Lord, right? Yes. Back in the day, I was like, why God wants you to be scared of him and blah, blah, blah. I had all these opinions, right? All these universal opinions. But when he actually came to me face to face in that vision, I was like, oh, this is what it means. Because at the end of the day, every knee shall bow, right?
I'm telling you.
And I was shook. Yeah. But he sat down with me and he talked with me. And the fear instantly subsided and immediately went to comfort. Man. And it's like, I'm not here to, reprimand you or to, punish you. Like, get that out of your system. Like, I want you to know that, like, I hold all the cards. However, I'm not this vicious guy that you think I am. Yes. And it was just one of those moments where he was telling me, like, this is going to happen, but don't be afraid because, X, Y, and Z, I got you here, got you there, blah, blah, blah. And he just laid out a plan right in front of me. Wow. And when I basically like came back from that, I was just like, I said, oh my God. I said, I would have to be a fool. Yeah. If I leave from that and don't correct myself. Yeah. If I leave from that and don't listen and walk in obedience, I would be a fool. Yeah. To know, like, no, I know God. I've experienced God. Yeah, that's the thing. When I've experienced God truly, and to blatantly disregard that as if it held no weight, I would be crazy. Yeah. From that day forward, my life was changed. Yes. It's nothing like a personal encounter. And that's the thing. Gosh. And that's why he says, that's why he desires to be intimate with us. Because he's like, I can't show you who I truly am until you let go of what people have said about me. What you think I am. But when you get to that one-on-one, because he makes everyone feel like his favorite. Yeah. He makes everyone feel so important. He makes everyone who is willing to come to him. Let me show you why I created you and why I made you so fearfully and wonderfully made. Let me show you how you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Because even if you don't believe it, let me show you. Like I can show you. By showing just my mere presence, me coming
That personal encounter that you were just talking about, that was him showing you, like, you mean that much that I took the time to come visit you myself.
I thought I was in trouble. Because I'm like, I'm like, God, you have so much to do.
You so
much to do and so many places to be, and you is right here. I said, I'm going to hell or something. I said, look, my life is over. I don't know what's happening.
Oh my gosh.
I was shook until he sat down.
I would have been like, all right.
I was like, Sydney, I would
have been like, this is it. Take me now.
But even down to the intention of us being on the beach. The beach is one of my favorite places to go when I want to clear my mind, when I want to be at peace, when I want to relax. Even that was intentional. His intention of like, I want you to be in a place where you can relax. I want you to be in a place where you know you can clear your mind and just be at peace. And then I'm going to, you know, visit you in that place because that's what peace looks like for you.
Yeah.
And I didn't even
personal to you.
He made it so personal. And I didn't even get that revelation until just now talking about it.
Wow.
Like he made that whole encounter so personal, even down to the sunset and the sky's looking purplish. And you know purple is my favorite color.
Girl, mine too.
So I'm sitting there like, wow.
He does. He makes it personal. That's why, you know, people think that God is going to give us something that doesn't even match who we are. God, he knows us. He created us, and he wants to give us good things that he knows are going to please him, but also please us. He's not a bad father that he's going to give you something that you don't want.
Right.
And you may not know that you want it in this season or in this time, but that's why I say he gives you the desires of your heart, because sometimes it's not giving you the physical desires of what you think you want. He's placing his desires in your heart so that you desire what he wants.
Jesus.
Lord Jesus. I'm telling you.
He's so good.
Yes.
And that's why one of the things that you said was so important. So as we talk about, you know, actually having a relationship with him. And even, so I'm going to say two things that I underlined in your book, two other things, because like I said, I underlined so many, right?
Yeah.
But having that relationship with him means stripping away all that you thought you knew. Stripping away every preconceived notion that you had of him, stripping away yourself from this whole idea of religion and what that looks like and what you've been taught in the church. And I love that you wrote that in your book about how you grew up in the church. You were listening to worship music. You were crossing all your T's and dotting your I's.
All of them.
What religion says you are supposed to do.
Everything.
And yet it still did not cultivate a personal relationship with him. And that's something so important, because that's the difference between religion and an actual relationship with Christ.
Yes.
Because religion, and this is what you said in your book, right? You said religion says to do this, do that, do this, do that. You can't do this, you can't do that. But a relationship with Christ says, come sit with me.
Come sit.
That's it's that simple.
Bottom line, he wants you. He don't want your money. He don't want anything else. We can't please him with all the things in this world. He created it. That's not a shock to him. This is not a shock to him. Like, I'm not saying the principle of tithing is not what he wants, because I still tithe. I still get.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, ultimately, he wants
all he wants is you.
Just you.
That's it.
And that's when I found that out. I'm like, God, I'm doing all this stuff. What else can I do for you?
What else you need from me? He's
what
like,
you want me to do?
I don't need anything from you. I
don't want nothing from you. I just want all of you.
And that is how we miss the mark. That's how we miss the mark of an actual, true, real relationship with God. And oftentimes it's how we miss the mark in actual physical relationships here on earth.
Yeah.
You know, you hear people be like, well, I did this for him and I did that for him and I did that.
Man.
Or I did this for her. I did that for her. I did that for her. Do.
Yes.
But we're still not giving in each other's love language.
We're not giving nothing. Yeah, come on.
So we're giving and doing all these things for God. We're doing for God, but we're still not giving into what his love language is, which is that quality time, that intimacy.
Yes, I wrote that too. That his love language is intimacy. It's intimacy. That's
Girl, when I tell you I've been deep in them chapters, I know what you said. Okay, I know what you said. And I just want to cap all of that off with this last thing that you said, which is where you said, God had to break my heart to save my soul. Break my heart to save my soul. He stripped you down.
Stripped me all the way down.
Stripped you
When I mean,
all
I took
the way
loss
down.
after loss after
Mm-hmm.
loss. I lost my relationship, then my job, got another job, lost that job. I mean, it was loss after loss. I mean, I finally got to the point where I was in physical therapy and counseling at the same time because like I said, I broke down to the point where I broke my own hand.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to physical therapy for that, and I was still in therapy, just trying to work out like what is wrong with me, like what is my deal. So I had to work all of that out and figure it out. He had to break me down, and sometimes God will strip you if you won't release something that He knows that is causing harm to you. Oh, He gonna rip it away.
Talk about it.
Willingly, either you're gonna do it willingly or unwillingly.
Yeah, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard
I'm trying
way.
to tell you, obedience is better than sacrifice. So everything got stripped. That's what He means by just be obedient. Yeah. Be obedient. All of this could have been avoided, basically.
All of it could have been avoided, but you chose. You chose not to listen.
I chose it, and He's not gonna. He'd rather break your heart. He'd rather you lose everything than to see you go down or to see you end up in hell. He'd rather that than to see you try to hold on to all these things and you can't even grow. You hold on to all this stuff that you think like, Lord, if I let this go, this is gonna happen. Lord, Lord, I can't let this stuff go. Yeah. He's like, well, let me help you. Let me rip this Band-Aid off for you. Oh,
so you want to let it go, but you don't want to let it go. You don't want to say less.
Say less. I got you. Let me show you. And I'm glad He did. It was a painful season. It was
that's something I recently talked about. Is like, God, grief, and growth. Like, because all the time we talk about, and especially now, I'm glad that God is trending, yes, but I also want to know that it's trending for the right reasons. Yes. And while the topic of conversation on social media is God and this walk with God, that is phenomenal. I just pray that the hearts are postured in the way that it's supposed to be. And to know that, like, it's not a genie in a bottle situation. No. Nope. God is not just out here, just blessing. Yes. Like, that's not what it's about. Because then there becomes a relationship where you become a taker and you're not giving anything. And so when it comes to grief in this walk of God, I was saying how, like, you really do grieve the things that God has stripped you of. We have become so compacted with these different layers that we didn't even know we needed, that we didn't believe we'd be able to operate without them. He strips them down and we become a person that we don't know. We're excited to get to know this person and we're looking forward to what He has in store for us. But oh my gosh, I'm sad because what is this? I don't know. What do I do? What do I do? Yes. What do I do? And not so much looking back with the desire to go back, but definitely a grief process. It is. And because even growth comes with growing pains.
It does.
Even growth comes with growing pains. And the pain is shedding the skin of who you used to be in order to become who you're supposed to be. That's painful. It's not always a beautiful process.
It is not beautiful.
It is not a beautiful process at all. It's actually pretty raw, but always very worth it. It is so worth it. Once you get down to the root of who God needs you to be, then you see like, oh, I needed that to go. Oh, I needed to get rid of that. And all the revelation starts to hit you at once. And it's like, God, why you ain't just say that in the first place?
Man, I'd be having that same conversation with God. Like, you could have really just said that. You did not have to do it.
It's like, I ain't even have to go through all this. You really could have just told me. But the truth is, if He would have just told us, because He tells us multiple times, God speaks once and even twice, but man perceives not. He tells us all the time what we need to do. We just don't do it.
That's so true.
It's not until we're afflicted and it really cuts deeply, God has to break your heart to save your soul in order for you to even realize, like, oh, I need you.
Yeah.
Because I have nothing else and I don't know where else to turn. And that is another statement that really propelled my walk with God. So even before the beach, my time was in the kitchen, and I was just standing there and I was doing dishes, a normal household chore, Sydney. And I just remember standing over that sink, pretty much broke down because I was like, God, listen here, Lord.
Right. Like, you about to get it.
No, for real. And I told people all the time, I said, how did you start? They'd be like, how did you start your walk? And I was like, I was honest with them. Whatever that looked like, no, I didn't cuss out the Lord because that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
But I did tell him exactly what was on my mind and exactly what was on my heart, because he knows my heart anyway. And my mouth could be saying one thing, but my heart says another, and he know I'm lying. So I'm going to give it to him straight.
Exactly.
And my thing was, Lord, I said, Lord, I'm tired and I'm over this life, and I think this life is real ghetto, and I'm really sick of everything that I'm going through. I've tried everything. Nothing is working. I'm busting my butt. I'm exhausted, and nothing. And I was like, and I'm tired of the nothingness. I said, but you know what, Lord? The only thing that I haven't tried is this relationship with you again. And now I can't even say again, because the first time I tried it, I wasn't even really in it. You know what I'm saying? I said, so what I'm going to do, because I have nothing else to lose at this point, is I'm going to give you a shot. I'm going to give you another chance.
Wow.
I said, but Lord, I'm going to tell you this. Not me giving the Lord an ultimatum, right?
Yep.
But it did. But it did.
But that's what you are.
Lord, I'm going to tell you something. If I put my all into you and I do all of this, or, you know, just and I'm just really building this relationship with you, and I'm genuine about it, I'm going to tell you one thing. If it don't work, I'm done.
Yeah, we're done. Like, that's it.
I'm done. And and then it wasn't necessarily a suicidal thought.
I know what you mean. Yes.
But it wasn't I'm done, as in I'm done trying. And I will just go to work and come home and wash dishes and cook dinner and go to bed and wake up and go to work and come home and cook and wash dishes. And that'll just be my life. I will be spiritually dead. If you don't work, God, I am committing spiritual suicide, and I will just be here on this earth until I die. It was that heavy.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it's like he heard that and was like, bet. It is about
try me if you want to. I'm telling you, that's what he's waiting. He waits on that. Try me.
It was it's like, wow. Because like 2 days later, there were just so many different things that was going on and happening.
Yeah.
And I'd be wrong if I didn't even tell y'all. It wasn't all great things either.
No.
Like, the second I gave God my yes, a week later, me and my daughter got sick with the flu. And I was like, well, isn't that funny? How me and my daughter get the flu after I just gave my life to God? Ha, ha, ha. Joke's on me. And then I had to correct myself, had to reel it back in. It was like, because you said you was going to try. You said you were going to try. That means in the face of adversity, you still have to have faith, and you still have to say, God, I trust you. So everything that happened, I said, God, I trust you. Got better from the flu. The very next month, I got hit by a deer. Yes, I got hit by a deer. I didn't hit the deer. The deer hit me. Tore my car up.
Oh, I've been there. I've been there.
And was like, I hit that deer and was like,
oh my gosh.
I said, all right, my car's still drivable. I was on my way to coach class at the lab. I said, my car's still drivable. I'm going to go ahead to this lab and I'm going to coach this class.
Wow.
Went back outside after the class and just remembered, like, dang, my car is really towed right now.
Right.
Like, I said, but God, I trust you. I said, but God, I trust you.
Yeah.
I trust you. Yeah. It was almost one of those situations, like, I wanted to genuinely trust him so bad that I just kept saying it until I felt it in my heart.
Yes.
It was literally a faith it till you make it situation.
No, yes.
Like, God, I want you to work. I really do.
Yeah.
And even though I'm not in full belief just yet, I'm working on it. I'm trying because I want you to work. I want this to work out so bad.
Oh, wow.
And Jesus, I just remember, it's been a journey, because those were some hard months. And of course they were in those cold season months, and that was truly an isolation season. But it was also in that isolation season where God gave me my assignment.
Wow.
It was also in that time when he was like, now you done went through a lot. So now I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share with you, because you've really been faithful.
Yeah.
That's what I need you to do. Like, you've been a certified life coach since 2016, but you haven't practiced.
Wow.
He said, but I put that in your life then because I need you to use it, and now's the time.
Yes.
And I was just taken. I'm like,
Oh my
all
God.
right, okay,
Mhm.
I'm listening.
Yeah.
And it was just such a journey.
Yeah.
And man, God is
Wow.
good.
No, he really is. He
God is
really
good. No,
is.
we threw hands a couple times and I lost, but
Yeah.
I learned.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. You will learn. You will take some losses. And I think that's what we get it. Because it was me for a long time, get it confused. Like we're not supposed to take any L's when we're with Christ. And I
Right.
thought that for a long
Mm-hmm.
time. But when
That's
I'm
the
like, I'm seeing all these
stigma.
losses, am I really following the right God? Like,
Did
am
I
I
get
doing
it
it
right?
right? Am I doing it right?
Am I sending my prayers to the right address?
That's what I just need to know because that's how I felt like it was taught when I was growing up in church. I just felt like blessings on blessings on blessings. Like God is gonna bless you. God is gonna do this. God is gonna do that. But what
Mm-hmm.
if he don't?
What if he
What if he don't
doesn't?
show up when you thought he was
Oh,
gonna show up?
we.
What if he doesn't? And nobody tells you what to do with that. You just like, okay, do I just stop praying to him about it altogether, or do I keep going
You
back to
get
being praying?
discouraged.
Yeah.
You
So
get
no, I didn't know
discouraged.
what to do after it didn't happen. I didn't know what to do after. Oh, I guess the blessing won't really come in. Oh, that wasn't even really my word in the first place. Like we're taking these
Right.
words from the pulpit that won't even for us. Like, you
Yes.
know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with church because I absolutely love church. I love being in corporate prayer, corporate worship, all of that. I
Absolutely.
love it. There's a beauty in it. But sometimes we can take things that are not for us in that season,
Mm-hmm.
and then he'll bring it back and be like, now I need you to use that word that I shared with you. Now I need you, just like you said, now is the time that I
Now
need you.
this word
He
is for
told you,
you.
you 2016, you were a life coach. And
Bruh.
now is the time. Now is the time. So
Now.
I'm telling you,
Years later.
yes, that's crazy. So
That
crazy.
is that's
Wow.
good.
Wow.
That
Yeah.
is good.
Yeah.
But
So I'm
that's one reason I'm just super glad we had this conversation because people do need to know what it genuinely
yeah.
looks like.
Yeah.
Because the second that things don't look like the way you thought it was going to look,
Mhm.
you'll get discouraged.
Yeah.
You'll miss the mark. You'll miss your blessing. You'll miss what God was trying to teach you. You'll miss
Yeah.
everything because you'll be like, well, I prayed that one day and then the next day this happened. So now I'm just going to retreat to going back to doing what I was doing.
Yeah. I
And
might as well go back.
also just, the aesthetics
Mm.
of walking with Christ. The
Mm-hmm.
aesthetics as in,
Yeah.
making sure you pray, making sure you go to church, making sure you're listening to gospel music, making sure you listen to this podcast, like you said, cool.
Yep.
But what are you doing after church?
Yeah.
What
What
are
does your
you,
in
what is
between
your
look like?
day? What does your day look like?
Yes.
After you
Yes.
listen to that podcast on the way to work, how are you showing up at work?
What? Come on.
How are you showing up
Come
at
on.
work? You listen to that
Yeah.
podcast, you motivated, you get home, now everybody getting on your nerves. What are you doing
Yeah.
after
Mm-hmm.
you ride that high of listening to a
Yes.
sermon and then you
Yes.
go home and there's no sermon?
It's like
Or you go to work
chaos.
and there's no sermon. You're back into the world now.
Yeah.
What do you do then?
Yes. Yes.
So
Definitely.
there's a certain
Definitely.
perseverance you have to have in this walk,
You
but then
do.
as you persevere, there's a certain maturity that you
Mm-hmm.
grow into. And then
Yes.
that is when I want to say that is when things begin to get easier because then, and it only gets easier because you then are more equipped to handle them when they come.
That's what it is.
You
Yes.
know what to do. Whereas before, if everything's falling apart and you didn't know how to handle it, it just looks crazy.
Just running in circles. You're just like,
Yep.
okay, I don't even know what to do. But you're exactly right. When things start to hit you, the unexpected things, the gut punches of life,
All
you
of
just
it.
know to like, okay, God, here I am. Here I am. I don't
Yeah.
know what to do. Even if you just say to him, I don't know what to do, because sometimes you won't.
Oh, I've said that many a times. I'd be like,
Too
all right,
many
Lord,
times.
I don't know what this is.
Here I am. I'm here though. I'm present.
But listen,
We here.
I don't know what this is, but I know at some point you're gonna make it do what it do.
So
Just tell me what I need to know, or tell me to be
yeah.
still, and I'm
Yep.
still. And you'll
Yeah.
get those unctions, and the more that you really lean into God's voice and the unctions of the Spirit, then it's like having a cheat code. You won't miss. I ain't gonna say you won't
Girl,
miss.
I
I
tell
ain't gonna
my
say
son that all the time, but he was like, I don't want to be a cheater. I said, don't think of it that way, son.
no, no.
I'm like, God wants to help you in every. I said, nothing is off limits for God. And I
Yeah.
tell him that even now. I said, even if you're in school struggling, Sit there and call on the name of Jesus. If you're in on the soccer field, basketball field, it don't matter. God cares about everything that you care about.
Yes.
Even if it seems minor, I said include him. That is your cheat code. I tell him that all the time. He's like,
That
I
is
don't
the
want to be a
cheat
cheater.
code. Oh. But that is the cheat code, truly. It is truly a cheat code. And I ain't gonna say you won't miss, because there will be sometimes you still miss, and that just comes with the territory. But man, you won't miss as much as you used to.
Yeah, that's true.
You won't miss
That's
as
so
much as you
true.
used to. And the deeper you go in, the deeper you grow in God, the bigger the warfare. But that just means you're on the right track. That means you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. And now you're becoming a bigger threat. Because you are operating in excellence. You're operating in exactly what God has called you to be, what he's called you to do. You are operating as a child of the kingdom.
Oh my gosh. That's it right there.
Y'all, we done talked y'all's heads off.
We sure did. We sure did. I knew it was gonna be like this, low key. I was like, this one is gonna be.
Yeah. And that's why, even because y'all, this man, even having to reschedule the interview, I said, see. I said, it's gonna be a big one. I already know. The way it was trying to work out, how it didn't work out. I said, nah, this is about to be a big one right here. So I just want to close and just say, you guys, thank you as always for sharing space with us. And I pray that this episode, if no other episode, births something in you that you had no idea was there. And I pray that you don't become fearful of what that is just because it's unfamiliar. You don't know what it looks like. I pray that you lean into it. And I pray that you ask God to guide you on that journey. And if this has sparked something in you, your homework is this. And Sydney, be prepared, because I'm going to let you do a second part to this homework.
Oh gosh, let's see.
Listen, we equipped in some of the same ways. But one of the homework journeys is if you have listened to this episode and it has stirred something up within you, I just want you to open your journals and just write down whatever that stirring looked like, whatever words came to mind for you, whatever you felt was spoken into your spirit during this episode. I just want you to write it down. Write it down as a reference point. Whether you write down something and you have absolutely no idea what it means, just write it down anyway, because that could very well be the beginning of something new. So just write it down. Do you have any homework, Sid, that you want them to do? I think
to piggyback on that, my thing will just, after you write it down, sit in silence and pray with God. Let the words that you heard, let them take root. Because sometimes we can hear these words, we can write them down, and they still get scattered. The seeds of the words can be lost. So allow God to work on your heart after you write those things out. Sit and worship in silence and allow the seeds that you've taken from the word to take root. Because we don't want to always hear these words, like we said earlier in the episode, how we can get these highs off the sermons and get these highs off these podcasts, and we can lose the impact of it because we didn't let it take root in our heart. So I just say, sit with God after you do that and pray and allow what he did through this podcast to resonate and transform your life.
Amen. And don't shy away from praying on it just because you are not, or you believe that you're not equipped on how to pray. And I have to say that because that was my thing in the beginning of my walk with Christ. I had no idea what a prayer life looked like. I didn't know how to pray. And I told myself, like, even if I don't know how to pray, I'm just going to sit in a quiet space and just talk out loud to God, just share with him what is on my heart. And as I continued to do that, it grew more and more into a prayer muscle. You don't don't shy away from prayer just because you may not have all these big fancy words. That doesn't matter. God wants to know you. He wants to know what's on your heart. He wants to know what's on your mind. So just share with him, your thoughts, and just allow him, and don't be afraid to sit in silence and allow him to speak as well, because that's another thing that we do. Sometimes we'll talk too much in prayer and we'll miss exactly what he told us to do. So, so y'all just sit with this episode for a while. And thank y'all for sharing space with us. And I mean, hey, I will talk to y'all next week.